Should you sell Harry Kane, Leon Bailey, Gabriel Jesus, or any player for Game Week 2? Watch this video till the end to find out. What is up, Insaners, and welcome to another video of the Fantasy Premier League 2022-23 season. In this one, guys, we're gonna talk about which players to sell for Game Week 2. So if you like what you see today, hit the like button. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel for more FPL related content. Now with that, let's quickly get into it. Now coming to our first player to sell for this video, guys, for this particular week, I think it's pretty straightforward. It's Harry Kane from Tottenham. Now I think a lot of managers might have a different opinion on it, but I feel that Harry Kane is one player that you should definitely sell this week. Now what are my reasons for that? I think Harry Kane against Southampton, there was a sort of a night test. Of course, it's just one game week of information, but he really played very deep. He was trying to do a lot of link-up play. Now we know that Harry Kane has a tendency to drop deep. We've seen that last season. Already more than 700,000 managers have sold Harry Kane this week, guys. And I think there's a huge dilemma in terms of managers who went for him. I know it was a bit unlucky that Haaland really did well against West Ham and Harry Kane blanked, but it was just the overall play, his positioning, and the way things turned out for Harry Kane, that was a bit intriguing. I think if you already did this transfer, I don't think so there's anything to worry about. But if you don't have enough money, then there's a dilemma because you might have to take a hit, and it'll really depend on which player you're taking out, what is the potential of that player, and which player are you getting in. If you're comfortable with that switch, I think even taking a hit for Harry Kane is pretty much okay, guys. I think you want to mitigate the loss which a Haaland could give you this week, guys, and that could be really huge because Haaland is easily the most bought-in player for this week, and considering that a lot of managers are probably going to captain him, I think the loss here might be massive. Now there's an argument to be made here, guys, that you can probably hold Harry Kane for the Chelsea game, which could be tricky, but then you have Wolves at home, Forest away, West Ham, Fulham, Man City. I mean, West Ham and Man City are going to be tricky fixtures. Fulham might be an easier fixture, but I just feel, considering how Haaland has been playing, or at least he played in the first game, considering that he's probably going to be pivotal in that Man City attack, guys, I think there are high chances that Tottenham attacking returns, they might be shared between Son, Kulusevski and Kane. Now, that might not be the case with Man City, as Haaland is probably going to score a lot of goals. He's also on penalties. Of course, Harry Kane would also be on pens. So there's not really a huge differentiation there. But I just feel overall from what we've seen so far, I think it's an okay move to make. I mean, Haaland is probably going to outscore him by a lot of points, and you'll probably want to be on the right side of it. So if you have this dilemma in your head, guys, I think you should definitely sell Harry Kane. Even for a hit should be okay, because I think there are long-term gains to be had from the Haaland move. Now coming to our next set of players, and we're talking about a couple of players here from Man United midfielders, Rashford and Sancho. Guys, I think if you went for them in the beginning, it was maybe a shot in the dark. I mean, we didn't really know what we can expect from Man United. Pre-season was probably also not enough to kind of give us an idea. But from what we've seen only in one game week against Brighton, they did struggle. Yes, Rashford still had a very decent game as compared to maybe a Sancho, but I think there is just better value in that 6.5 and 7.5 million price bracket, guys. We have cheaper options in Martinelli. We also have maybe a Neto, maybe a Bailey. Yes, Bailey could be a rotation risk this week, but then you can also go for somebody from the Leeds team, as they have some decent midfielders with some great fixtures coming up. Rashford and Sancho could be options considering that they are very averagely priced in the FPL game, guys. But I think they're just better value, they're just better options that you can target. And I think it's good to see United for a couple of games get more idea. But in the meantime, you might have a lot of points lost. And to mitigate that, I think selling Rashford and Sancho for this week, it's fine, guys. I think the ITAs should help us in the couple of weeks, and I don't think so they're long-term holds, or even in the short term, there's a lot of benefit in holding them. So if you have them, guys, you have the likes of Martinelli, you have other players as well that you can target. You should probably look at them instead of this Man United midfield. Talking about fixtures, the fixtures are also not looking that great. They have Liverpool after Brentford. Southampton's probably going to be a slightly easier game where there could be some attacking returns for both of these players. But then there's Leicester, Arsenal and Palace. All three are decent defenses. I mean, Leicester still can concede goals. We've seen that in the past. But I think Arsenal, Crystal Palace are going to be tricky games. So fixtures aren't that great. I mean, we've not really seen anything from them so far. And I think there is value in other midfielders. So I think their potential sell for this week, especially when you are looking at outlets to gain points in terms of rank. Coming to our next player to sell in this video, guys, we have Martin Odegaard from Arsenal. Now, a lot of you might be wondering, why are we taking an Arsenal player out of our FPL teams? I just feel he's the wrong midfielder to go for. You have the likes of Saka, who's of course 8 million, but you also have somebody like a Martinelli, who might be a lot more value than Odegaard. Now don't get me wrong guys, Martin Odegaard is an absolutely great player to watch, especially in a football game, but he might just not have the FPL potential that we are all looking at. From whatever we've seen so far guys, there's a high chance that he will probably play a lot deeper, and players like Martinelli, Saka, even Gabriel Jesus, of course him being a forward, they will be in more advanced positions closer to the goal, so there's a high chance of getting an assist, getting even a goal from all those players, and Martin Odegaard might not provide that value. Of course, if you don't want to go for Odegaard, there are other options as well, but in spite of the good fixtures that Arsenal has, I just feel he's the wrong midfielder to go for. You can get in Martinelli and you probably will get a lot of value from Martinelli. I think that is the direction that you'll probably look at if you want to go for an Arsenal midfielder. As you can see from the stats guys, there was not really a lot in terms of his performance. He didn't create any chances. There were no big chances created. His overall expected goal involvement was also not very high. And I don't think so he'll be really bombing forward a lot into the box, taking a lot of shots. So I just feel he's a sell definitely for this week. Coming to our next player, and we have Philippe Coutinho from Aston Villa guys. I know a lot of people were debating where to go for Neto or Bailey, but there was also this set of managers who went for Philippe Coutinho in game week 1. I just feel he's probably a sell this week. I don't think so there's a lot of potential considering that the fixtures are coming up guys. They have West Ham a couple of game weeks after this week. Then they also have Arsenal, Man City and Leicester, and that run is very, very tricky. Even Everton and Palace guys, they might not be the easiest defenses to break down. Yes, you could argue that Everton have had a couple of injuries in game week 1. Their defense might be a bit shaky. I mean, that could be a possibility, but they've also signed Connor Cody, so that's probably gonna improve their defense, strengthen their defense, and they might not concede easily. I mean, we saw that they were playing really well against Chelsea. They weren't really allowing Chelsea to create any chances, and I just feel we will get returns from Coutinho. But whether you'll be on the right side of getting that return, that is the big question, guys. I think it's a bit tricky. I mean, I can't say that Bailey is the better option here from Villa. I just feel there are better attackers out there in cheaper price brackets as well, guys. As I mentioned earlier in the video, you can go for somebody from Leeds. You can go for an Aronson. You can go for Rodrigo. Rodrigo has more goal threat. So there are options that you can go for. Of course, Harrison also had a great game in game week 1. So there are potential replacements if you don't have any other transfers to make. Now with Coutinho, there's also a risk of rotation. There's also a risk of an early sub. And as we saw in that first game for Aston Villa, guys, Leon Bailey was the most advanced player. So there is still some potential there probably if he's getting minutes. But I just feel with so many attacking options in the Villa setup, and there could be a structural change as well. So the potential for Coutinho might not be that high, guys. And that is another reason why he's probably going out in a lot of FPL teams this week. It might not be a priority transfer this week, but I think if you don't have anything else to do, you could get some value. Of course, you can also move towards an 8 million midfielder. Let's say if you have some money lying around and you can upgrade to that 8 million midfield spot, then you can risk it with a Man City player. There are other options in Kulusevski, etc. as well. Kulusevski I still think is a better option in game week 3 than in this week against Chelsea. But yes, there are replacements that you can go for, and I think Philippe Coutinho is a sell this week. Coming to our next player, and we have Virgil van Dijk, guys. I know it might be a bit odd for a lot of people, but I think there was a decent amount of FPL managers who went for Van Dijk in game week 1. Now I can understand the appeal of a Van Dijk because you are getting those clean sheet points that Liverpool will get, and he has some decent goal threat as well, especially from set pieces. But I just feel if you are looking at a couple of options, maybe let's say if you have Mo Salah and you have somebody like a Trent as your 2 Liverpool players pretty much locked in, I think there's still a scope, there's better avenues where you can spend your money, especially when you're going for that Liverpool third spot. You have the likes of Luis Diaz, who's an attacker, who's probably going to play in much more attacking positions, who's also maybe expected to give more points, more FPL points week in, week out. Then we have Darwin Núñez as well, guys, who's a bit of a risky pick right now because we're not really sure of Núñez's minutes at the moment, but we've already seen his potential. We've already seen how he's taking those attacking positions in the game, guys. There's a lot of potential, a lot of FPL potential there, and I'm pretty excited about the Darwin Núñez pick. So there are options that you can go for. I think this move is a lot easier, especially when you are wildcarding this week, because you can easily take him out, get somebody like a Núñez, for example, get on him a bit earlier than the others, and take advantage of that. But yes, again, something similar to what we saw with Coutinho, guys. If you don't have any priority transfers to make, if your team is looking decent, if you have some money lying around, you can maybe upgrade to a Diaz. You can possibly even downgrade to a cheaper defender this game week, and then probably take advantage of that additional money and invest that next week. If you want to go for cheaper options, guys, you can go for Reece James, who's looking okay at the moment, but I still feel there's a lot of FPL potential there. You can even go for a slightly riskier Perisic. There is an element of risk involved with Perisic because again, he might not get a lot of starts, especially in the upcoming game weeks. But then you can of course go for these sort of picks. You can even go for Zinchenko. I think a lot of people are already on Zinchenko, who's also a slightly riskier pick because Tierney is also back. So that's one thing to note. But I think there are avenues that you can go for. If you have some extra money, guys, you can even go for a Robertson. And I think that's a much better upgrade in terms of attacking potential. Considering that he really bombs forward a lot, he has a lot of assist potential. And we've seen in the past that he can score an odd goal. So I think Van Dijk, if you don't have any priority transfers to make, I think he's a sell this week. I think he's going to tick along really nicely because Liverpool will keep a lot of clean sheets, but he just doesn't have the attacking potential that a Robertson, a Diaz, or even a Darwin Núñez can give you right now. Coming to our final option for this video, guys, we have Matty Cash from Aston Villa. Now, Villa have tough fixtures as we spoke with Philippe Coutinho. They have West Ham, Arsenal, Man City, Leicester, so it's not looking that great from a clean sheet perspective, guys. I think if you probably have to go for a Villa defender who will probably give you some attacking returns, who's a lot more creative, I think Lucas Digne is probably the better option out here. We know that Matty Cash has more goal threat, but against tougher oppositions, I think he's going to do a lot of defending, and I think that goal threat won't really matter a lot in those kind of games. Also with fixtures against Everton and Palace, guys, I think they're very sound defensively. They might even score a goal, so the clean sheet potential here as well looks a bit dodgy. And I just feel in that price bracket, if you have a little bit money, you can go for Zinchenko. You can even go cheaper in the Arsenal team itself, guys. You can go for a Saliba who's going to take along well. He's going to give you clean sheet points. I think he's a bonus points monster as well. So there are options. There are some decent differential options as well that you can go for. But I just feel with Matty Cash, you're probably not going to get a lot of goal threat, especially in the upcoming games. And I think that's also a probably easier sell. Again, if you don't have any fires to put out, let's say if you're not doing the Kane to Haaland move, I think Matty Cash can easily be shipped out for a different defender. So these were our picks to sell in Game Week 2, guys. Do let me know if I've missed out on something or which players or what players are you selling for Game Week 2. So that'll be all from my side for this video, guys. Do hit the like button if you enjoyed this list. If you enjoyed today's video, you can also subscribe to our YouTube channel for all the FPL content that we do week in, week out. Now, we've worked on a couple of other videos for this week as well in terms of which players to buy, which players to target. We've also done a game week review earlier in the week. So if you're interested in that, you can watch those videos. I'll drop a link in the description and also at the end of this video. Now, we'll be back with the next video, which is the last minute tips, which is probably going to talk about all the big dilemmas for Game Week 2. That's going to come out a little bit before the deadline. And then we'll also have the deadline stream, probably a couple of hours before the deadline. So do join us for that if you have any last minute queries. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in Saners next time.